Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. I'm full of energy today because it's warm enough to wear my beautiful Superman t-shirt. What? You don't think it's beautiful? You don't think I'm beautiful? Your girlfriends might. Anyway, welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. What's the question that's been plaguing all DC fans since the last time we saw Henry Cavill's Superman in Justice League? What is the future of Henry Cavill's Superman? Will we ever see him again? Will he quit? I think the same questions that were plaguing Ben Affleck's Batman were plaguing Henry Cavill's Superman after the despicable way they were displayed in Justice League. Well, a couple of really small sites, so take it with a pinch of salt, are saying we will see Henry Cavill's Superman in Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. Now, I'm reading this from the Vulcan Reporter, so I don't know this site very well, but I wouldn't trust anything that came out of something called the Vulcan Reporter. Pinch of salt time, but it's news, it's valid news, so let's discuss it. Henry Cavill set to play Superman in Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Of course, this is an obvious thing to predict anyway, after the disjointed Superman cameo from the first Shazam movie. Henry Cavill will be reprising his role as Superman in the upcoming Shazam Fury of the Gods film. According to the hashtag show, Henry Cavill will be reprising this role as Superman, his role in Superman, in the upcoming Shazam Fury of the Gods film. It was reported back in May of 2020 that while a Man of Steel sequel is not in the works, Henry Cavill was in talks to return as Superman in upcoming DC movies. With Wonder Woman 1984, the Batman and the Suicide Squad already being in the can, Superman was expected to make a cameo in Shazam 2, Black Adam or Aquaman 2. A Superman cameo in Shazam 2 would make the most sense, seeing as how the character already made a short cameo in the first Shazam film. Warner Brothers seems to agree, as Henry Cavill is now cast in Shazam Fury of the Gods, based on casting information from the upcoming DC film that the hashtag show acquired. Henry Cavill is reportedly listed as a member of the cast. Henry Cavill's Superman is set to appear next in Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max, which is set to release on the 18th of March 2021. Shazam Fury of the Gods is set to start production in May of 2021. So this is interesting. This is something, nobody wants this more than I do. But even if this is true, this will not be the next time we see him. And I'm not talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut on HBO Max on March the 18th. I am talking about Flashpoint. This will be the next time that we will see him. And I think Flashpoint is the movie where we'll know where we're heading in terms of the DC Extended Universe, the DC Live Action Universe, the multiverse, because it's all involved now. Arrowverse, everything, right? It's all going to be involved in this one live action universe as we have a conglomeration of movies set in different Earths. Now, I've made many predictions about the future of the DC Extended Universe, but this is the one I'm putting out there today. Now, this is the problem. We don't, even if Cavill has a future in the DC live action universe, it's still interesting. Now, I think they're reframing an Earth 1. Now, before I thought that Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams' Batman and Superman would be Earth 1, but it looks like since that New York Times article that we're looking at a brand new Earth 2. So how are they going to do Earth 1 then? Earth 1 will probably have Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Ezra Miller's The Flash, Jason Momoa's Aquaman. I think they're the ones, I think Aquaman, The Flash and Wonder Woman will certainly pull over from the Snyderverse and become the central Earth 1, and including new characters that they will bring in to this brand new Earth 1. Now, that's interesting. So where does this leave Henry Cavill's Superman? Now, he's going to have to be in Flashpoint. He has to be in Flashpoint because in the graphic novel, he's there. Even though when Barry Allen creates this alternate universe, Superman's had a different origin. He's very skinny. He's very sick. He hasn't been in the sun enough to be the Superman that we know and love. So he's not the Superman that we know in that alternate universe. But in the beginning of the film, the Justice League are helping Barry Allen, the Flash, fight Reverse Flash. So I don't know if that's what we're going to see in the opening sequence of Flashpoint. That would be pretty cool. And so I think definitely the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman are going to be set in this Earth 1. And obviously, Matt Reeves, the Batman, and J.J. Abrams, Superman, in Earth 2. How that's going to work, I don't know. So if J.J. Abrams' Superman is an Earth 2 Superman, that means they're going to cast someone brand new. You would expect and respect J.J. Abrams would want to cast his own person and a brand new Superman. And again, where does this leave Henry Cavill? You know, I'm talking about Zack Snyder's characters being in Earth 1, but Zack Snyder's universe being in Elseworld. So where does that leave? So that, and you know, what does this mean? What does this mean for Batfleck and Henry Cavill's Superman? Where do they go? Do they pull over to the Snyderverse, which is apparently, according to Zack and, you know, various rumors, going to be an Elseworld? Or do they pull over or remain in this Earth 1 as well? It's difficult to know, because then, and of course we don't know if Snyder has a future with the DC live action universe with this multiverse strategy. Something else we're going to find out when we watch Flashpoint and thereafter. And so either Cavill and Affleck will be part of the future, or they will pull over to Earth 1. Now, the rumours have been that Michael Keaton's Batman, in fact, will be the brand new Earth 1 Batman, which would mean Ben Affleck's Batman would probably be killed off in Flashpoint. Now, this would be a bone of contention, but we still don't know how badly Ben Affleck wants to be involved. Now, we know he stepped down from the character and removed himself from the character after, you know, he was treated by certain elements of the old WB regime. Now that Snyder's back, and if Snyder has a future with the DC live-action universe, he could be convinced to continue being this Earth 1 Batman. Nobody really knows. I would say that Cavill has more of a chance than Affleck of remaining in this Earth 1 kind of verse, but it's interesting. So let's just say, for argument's sake, the Keaton theory is wrong, and Keaton's just going to be in Flashpoint, right? Let's say that's the case. I don't know if that's the case. I do feel that Keaton has a very good chance of being this new Earth 1 Batman, but we will see what Flashpoint does. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that Batfleck and Cavill remain on Earth 1 with everybody else, as they were before, right? After Flashpoint. So let's just say Snyder continues to do DC movies. What could he do? Well, he could do Lex Luthor origin stories. He could do a Deathstroke origin story. He could create his own characters within his own framework. I think that would be more of the kind of future Snyder could have, creating his original own DC content over on his own Elseworld, over on HBO Max. I think that's more of a thing you can look forward to, and maybe doing kind of offset stories. I can see that happening. And so it remains to be seen where Cavill and Affleck actually end up. And this is an interesting thing. And because Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and that will be an exciting cameo. And if it's true, Cavill remains in Earth 1, right? Because Shazam is Earth 1. That's a fact, that he'll be there because of the kind of response mainstream audiences gave the character. And so he would be and remain on Earth 1. And if Cavill cameos in Fury of the Gods, he will be and remain in Earth 1. But it all just remains to be seen what's going to happen. So this would be really convenient for J.J. Abrams to recast Superman for an Earth 2 in Matt Reeves' brand new Earth 2. That would be very, very exciting. And of course, Reeves and Abrams have worked together before. And so that would be a very cozy Earth for them to, a brand new DC universe, Earth, part of the multiverse, to create. And I would be very, very excited about that. But comment down below. I want to know what you think about this. Where is Cavill and Affleck going to end up? Will they remain on Earth 1? Will they be Snyder's Elseworld? Is my prediction? What do you think of my prediction that Snyder won't be dealing with any of these heroes anymore, but will be will be adapting other DC characters for his Elseworld, which would excite me a great deal. But what's the future of the DC live-action universe? And are you excited to see Henry Cavill's Superman back in DC Extended Universe movies, DC live-action movies? This is what we all want, right? We all love Henry Cavill. Let me just say one thing. I am disgusted of the treatment of Henry Cavill ever since Justice League. It's like they blamed him for the whole movie. But you know what I respect about Cavill? He's playing the game. He understands the industry. Unlike Ray Fisher, he hasn't shouted from the rooftops. He even brought his own script and own director. He knows the comics. He tried his best to come back straight away and do this kind of Man of Steel 2, this Codex sequel he's been desperate to do. But it didn't happen. They didn't allow it. That was the old regime that rejected that. But so he has been, treated despicably. We talk about Snyder and the treatment of Snyder. Well, Henry Cavill hasn't been treated any better. But I do believe he has a future now. Ben Affleck's an interesting one. Where he goes, does he want to remain? Does he be a part of this Elseworld while Keaton is the New Earth one? Batman, it's all up in the air. These questions won't be answered until we see Flashpoint. That's when they reframe the universe, when they reframe the franchise. It's very exciting, but we don't know who has a future and who hasn't. But I certainly think Gadot, Momoa, and Miller and Zachary Levi, Shazam, are going to be, setting a new Justice League in this brand new reframed Earth 1. So it's a course correction of sorts. I know many of us feel there doesn't need to be a course correction, but unfortunately business is business and they need top dollar and they need the most amount of eyes. I believe that everyone's going to be happy after Flashpoint. If you're a Snyder fan, he'll be over on HBO Max. Where Henry Cavill's Superman is, I have no clue, but I do believe he has a future. James Gunn is brilliant at answering fan questions over on Twitter and Instagram. One fan called Matt the Writer asked, will you let us know when the Suicide Squad is completely 100% done, or is it done? I'm recording one more score cue with the great John Murphy. His score slays and waiting on 2 visual effects shots and also finishing the DI digital colouring this weekend, which is already 99% of the way there. And then we will be done. Wow, I'm really excited for this movie. Look, now, say what you want about James Gunn, but he knows how to entertain audiences. So here's another question. I got a question. How much did you love filming the movie in Panama? I loved the food and the people and the crew in Panama. An unforgettable experience. Finished shooting the movie there right before COVID took over. I have time for a few more questions on anything, a short Q&A. Ask below and I'll answer. Now, this is an interesting one. J. Edgar Lenga. How much of this movie will be what you want to be? Warner Brothers has a knack for editing a movie into shit. Right. So I don't like narratives like this because this is the old regime. Now, the other day I did a video about Kathy Yan saying that she wished she was more in charge of the editing process. But Kathy, the reason you wasn't, I don't agree with the interference of Zack Snyder and, David Ayer, what the old regime did there. But what the new regime did with Birds of Prey was save it. It wouldn't have made anything if she was allowed to edit this movie. Her and Margot Robbie were trying to tell a tale of toxic masculinity. That's boring. If you want to make social commentary, talk about starving children, children who are sexually abused, women who are beaten, homelessness, famine in countries. That's proper social commentary. So anyway, I agree what Warner Brothers did to Kathy Yan and Margot Robbie. They saved that movie, just about saved it. It didn't make the money they wanted it to. But the movie was a car crash because of the way they wanted to do it. Anyway, this is what James says about that question. The Suicide Squad... hang on. Oh, yeah, here it is. The Suicide Squad is fully finished and cut. And I made every single choice. And they never once even slightly interfered. They gave very few notes. They were usually good and minor, and I took them if I wanted to, and I didn't if I didn't want to. Warner's was creatively amazing. So now listen to this. Now this is I think this is someone who follows me actually, Jay Koenig, and he says this: it took fucking up David Ayers and Zack Snyder's work for them to learn, or they learn nothing. Mr. Gunn is just too much of a VIP for them to dare meddling. Now there's some truth to that, but there's also some fiction to that as well. Yes, James Gunn wouldn't agree to do this unless he had total artistic freedom. But also, he's a professional. He understands that it is the studio fronting the money. You know, all studios give notes. All studios. And it depends who you are. If you're someone who's just come out of film school, you can't argue with those notes, but you will argue your piece. And there will be a compromise. There's always got to be a compromise in life. Compromise isn't a bad thing. It's 50-50. So he said he took some notes, he rejected others, but mainly they left him alone, and he's really happy. And this is the future. This is the new regime. You know, what Jay's talking about there is the old regime, but he didn't depict that. So that's very, very important to understand. Let's be honest here. Warner Media spoke to Patty Jenkins about Wonder Woman 84. They didn't like the mouth sequence. They wanted to take it out. She didn't listen. It was crucified. So sometimes studios know what they're talking about, don't they? That's not interference. That's advice. But they respected her enough to allow her to put that shit show of a mouth sequence in, even though it was a disaster. So actually, Jay, it looks like WB have learnt their lesson. You have got to love the internet for stirring shit. Now, this is from the DC Direct. DC reportedly changes Black Adam's name, possibly affecting Dwayne Johnson's anti-hero. Now, this isn't going to affect anything, but let's read it. So already they've made the assumption of maybe the character's name being changed, affecting the movie. Why would it? Anyway, Black Adam, Shazam's sometimes villainous, sometimes anti-hero counterpart, notable for his immense power, but more known because he's going to be played by The Rock. Indeed, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will step into the role of the DC Comics character in the upcoming film, Black Adam. Beyond that, the character could possibly appear in a film where he squares off with Zachary Levi's Shazam, likely giving young Billy Batson a run for his money. Now, Black Adam, cool name, right? Well, what if his name was something else? DC renamed Black Adam. Let's have a look then. Comic book writer Michael Bendis made a tweet in an apparent response to the name change rumour. Rumours are stupid. Right, there you go. So it's all bullshit. According to Bleeding Cool, which is a terrible site, DC Comics is renaming the character of Black Adam, and the new name is Shaz Adam. The outlet speculates that the new name could be an effort to evolve the DC character into a good guy rather than a villain. Fans can keep their eyes out for Shazam's potential first look in Brian Michael Bendis' Justice League run next month. Black Adam is obviously meant to be an intimidating character, so it will be very interesting to learn the full process behind the name swap. Already they're talking like it's a fact. Bullshit, spoken about like it's fact. This is the internet. I'm trying to educate you here. Don't believe everything you fucking read. Brian Michael Bendis, an iconic, legendary comic book artist, right? It said it's bullshit, but still you lot are arguing on the internet about it. Insane. On the surface, one kind of see what DC is going for. Again, talking like it's happening. If Black Adam Shazam is meant to essentially be an evil version of Shazam, then he should have a name that reflects their similarities, right? But on the other hand, why is there something inherently wrong with the name Black Adam? In the eyes of DC, are they trying to give the character a fresh coat of paint to lure into new readers and fans? They lose a bet. Moreover, will Dwayne Johnson's iteration of the character now be saddled with this little moniker? It's going to look interesting on the movie posters if that's truly the case. Whatever the name of the movie ends up being, it's currently without a release date, but it's plausible that it will release in 2022 or 2023. Basically, negative, negative, negative. So many negative Nellies on the internet, but I'm not going to be negative here. Let's say they do rename him Shazadam. Why would they do that? I don't know if it's true or not. But let's say it's true. Right. We live in an era of Black Lives Matter. We live in an era where we all saw a black man murdered to death, suffocated to death by a policeman. Racism is, when I grew up, racism, this is a horrible thing to say, but it was accepted by the adults around me. In fact, all the adults around me, including my family, my uncles, my parents, were all racists because that's the era they grew up in, right? Racism isn't tolerated anymore. So when you've got a character called Black Adam, who's black, maybe they're thinking they want to change it. Personally, I think that's stupid because, well, the problem is, again, because I'm going to have balance to this conversation, because Black Adam is meant to be this anti-hero. It does it kind of infer that the colour black is a negative colour. And then that is kind of racist, isn't it? These are the kind of analysis we're getting these days. And it's really hard times because you've got people on that side and people on that side and people in the middle. If he was to be, Black Adam is a famous trademark. This is the problem. So if you change the name, it is a little bit problematic. Shaz Adam, it's not a bad name, but people would be horrified if that happened. But at this moment in time, please take it with a pinch of salt and as a rumour. It really isn't a big deal, but I don't think at this moment in time it's going to happen. Maybe they put it out there to see the reaction, and the reaction is obvious. Don't fucking change the name. And finally today, I'm going to give you a little theory about Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice leading into Zack Snyder's Justice League. So we know in Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, right? Okay, hashtag okay, whatever that means. Anyway, right, so we know in Batman vs. Superman that Batman was in a very dark moment. We know he was killing people. We know he was branding people. And diehard fans were horrified. But what if in Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, okay, what if this is explained? So how can there be another reason that we didn't see in BVS why Batman was acting in a foreign way to how we've seen Batman act before? Yes, we've seen people die because of his actions before, but Batman's never been that brutal in live action. Now, I didn't mind it personally because it was explained in the way of him. He's lost so much. He's older. He's more cynical. He's seen the world invaded by Kryptonians and he blames Superman for everything. So that's a good narrative. It kind of explains why he's so angry and how Superman helps him snap out of it by him realizing that they both have human mothers. So that's a massive moment. But what? Because in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we know that Superman will be under Lord Darkseid's control from using the anti-life equation. So what if Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, in BVS was also under Lord Darkseid's antiverse equation, or whatever, however you call it? What if Bruce Wayne and Batman were under Lord Darkseid's control in BVS? And that's why he was acting the way he was. But love and an infinity to understand that his enemy actually has a human mother as well, who was in danger, snapped him out of it. Maybe this is an explanation that will be kind of answered in Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, quote, okay. So I think this is an interesting theory of mine because someone was saying something and it clicked my mind. And I think if we're going to connect all this together, and MOS, BVS, and Zack's Justice League are all connected, would it be a neat little thing if Superman is under Lord Darkseid's control in Justice League? Would it be interesting if actually Ben Affleck's Batman is to be revealed that he also was under Lord Darkseid's antiverse equation? I think that would be very interesting. Now, what would this do? This would be very smart because all the haters then would be in a very uncomfortable position, because if Batman was actually under Lord Darkseid's control, then he wasn't of a free mindset, which means Snyder wasn't actually trying to go against the grain by having him branding people and killing people. he was under the anti-life equation. But what if in BVS he never snapped out of it? He snapped out of it slightly, but Lord Darkseid still had control over him. That would explain why he's literally killing people in the warehouse as well, right? So it's an interesting theory. I'm not saying it's a fact, but comment down below. Let me know what you think of that. Do we think that Batfleck was under Lord Darkseid's control in Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice? Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back later with even more videos. See you again soon. See ya. I'm going to enjoy that sun. I've got a pool. I'm diving in.